And with that, Nick Wright is joining us live. First things first.
Oh, man.
I kind of felt like that was owed to Nick Wright. That was a Nick Wright segment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have had 6 people on a Mount Rushmore to start with. You could have just taken your middle 4. Can I do my biannual? It's not anti-Michael Phelps, but it's anti-swim medal inflation rant, if I may. How come? It's the craziest thing. The greatest Olympian ever was a swimmer, and now the greatest Olympian ever is a swimmer. You know why? Because they don't tell Usain Bolt, hey, buddy, you can win 5 gold medals in the 100. Run it backwards, run it forwards, hop, skip. Like, it's such a farce. This idea that because, Simone Biles has a limited amount of medals she can win. Bolt has a limited number of medals. The swimmers, it's the same distance, 4 different strokes. So I'd clip him. And on Ohtani, here is my only question for you, Colin, because he hasn't pitched in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Until we see him return to be a regular dominant pitcher, hasn't his place, forget atop Mount Justmore in history, right now, this moment, he's not the best player in baseball. Aaron Judge is, right? Because Judge has been demonstrably a better hitter this year. He just has been. And if we want to hold the postseason stuff, that's fine. The whole idea of Ohtani is you're getting A pitching and A hitting, or A plus and A minus, whatever it is. I need him to start pitching again. I know he threw the inning last night, but before he gets elevated there, you're ready. I mean, I know you coined better than Babe, which was great, but, this year, I don't know that he's been better than Betts because he's just playing the one position. So is that not fair?
Well, I mean, it's like, the way I look at it was he was an ace in an all-star game. I don't need 20 years of being a dominant pitcher. If one year Mahomes made the Pro Bowl as a corner cover, I'd be like, I don't need a second. That checks a box. Brady couldn't.
That's fair. Well, then listen, you might need to edge out. Maybe you can, if you're leaving it at 6, maybe you can get ready to remove Phelps for my guy Travis Hunter, because my guy Trevor Lawrence about to help him be an all-pro receiver, and you just want to see moments of brilliance playing both ways. So maybe Travis can take that next spot.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully he'd play a game before we anoint him to that position. Okay. So.
Well, Ohtani pitched 1 inning last night, and you've got him as the best player in baseball again.
Again, because he's previously been an ace in an all-star game.
It's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I suppose that's fair. Go ahead.
So J-Mac, and again, as an elder statesman at this network, I do believe that basketball is better today than ever, but we have to acknowledge that the Michael Jordan's Bulls were also the best defensive team, and KD and Steph's Bulls were the best defensive team, and Belichick beat the fastest show on turf. And what we have is a history, Saban's dynasty. If you put a great offense and a great defense together, the defense almost always wins. And Indiana, hot knife through butter, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Knicks, they look disjointed. They look off. Now, some of it's Halliburton, but I'm watching an Oklahoma City defense. This has got a Legion of Boom feel. They can press you at half court, press you on the perimeter, rim protection. I think we have to give them credit. This does look almost collegiate in effort and switchability.
That 100% correct. And I came on with you a few weeks ago, and listen, I haven't gotten much right about these NBA playoffs, but my belief in Oklahoma City is maybe the one thing I have gotten right once the Lakers got eliminated. And what I said to you a couple weeks ago is they are unlike any team in the last 20 years in their ability to go on these 12-2 or 14-2 runs that are based purely on steals. That it is not they hit a bunch of threes. It is not the offense gets hot. It's that they can have these game-changing runs based on their defense and their ability to throw waves of good defenders at you. I also think the Legion of Boom comp is apropos because they also do something those guys did, which was We are going to play with such a level of physicality from the opening whistle of the game that we are going to put the refs in an impossible position where you are either going to grind the game to a halt in the opening 4 minutes, or we are going to set the precedent that Dort and Caruso, when he comes in, and Jalen Williams and Cason Wallace, all these guys, we are just going to bring back hand checking, bring back body bumping, and we're going to rough you up somewhat, like what the Legion of Boom secondary did with kind of illegal contact, to where even if we get called it a few times a game, it's worth it. So, listen, defensively, they're great. Shea is having, from a scoring perspective, a really special, not just postseason, not just season, but couple of seasons. Like, as the list of guards to average more points in a season than Shea the last couple of years is, you can count on one hand. And then you add Jalen Williams, who became just, I think, the 6th guy ever to be the 2nd best player on a team and drop 40 in a finals game. It's Scottie Pippen, his whole career in Chicago, Colin, never scored more than 32 in a finals game. Kobe scored 40 in a finals game once, and it was in 2009 when Shaq was gone. D. Wade never scored 40 as a second option in the finals. It's really special what Jalen Williams did yesterday, and it makes their ceiling even higher. So, yeah, I mean, I am wildly impressed by their defense. And Jalen Williams, who was fairly the object of a lot of scrutiny after last year's round 2 loss to Dallas when he didn't play well, and then midway through round 2 this year when it looked like they might lose to Denver, he was going to be object of scrutiny again. He had a 4 for 19, a 5 for 18, some rough games. Since Game 7 of round 2, he's been excellent, and these last 3 games, he's been brilliant, and now they're going to win the championship.
I got a lot of things I could ask you about right here, and I'm looking at them, and some are interesting, some not. Okay, I'm going to throw this
do
out.
The interesting ones. Let's just, you know what? Let's just do the interesting ones.
Okay. So I was never a John Morant guy. And the maturity stuff, I wasn't too critical of him because, in football, in baseball, you have to go through the minor leagues. You come in a little more mature. In football, you can't even get to the NFL. A lot of these kids are 18, 19. At 18, 19, I was pulling fire alarms in high school. Like, we're all idiots, right? But I will say this. I've always had this theory that if you're a small player, you got to be able to shoot. I didn't buy John Wall, Derrick Rose, John Morant, Stevie Francis. I bought Nash and Curry. Because without the hand check, if you can't shoot, you got to score at the rim. And you're going up against Redwoods. You're going to get hurt. And my take on John Morant, maturity aside, he can't shoot. And he's always hurt. And in the end, I love what Orlando did in the trade because I think now they look at Indiana and think we can do that. But I also like what Memphis is saying is this isn't going to work. Look at the maturity and depth of OKC. Look at these young teams coming. Is that John Morant's a bit of a cautionary tale? Is that if you look at the Pacers and OKC right now, it's college guys. 2 and 3 years at college. Jalen Williams. It's maturity. There's no G Leaguers. There's a couple one and dones. That John Morant is a prime example of it does. College basketball matters. Maturity matters. Then in the NBA, sometimes we kind of fall in love with highlights, and John Morant's the best in the league at that. But your take kind of on the John Morant in Memphis kind of saying he can't be a one.
I think there's a lot here. I think the only part you didn't mention is Orlando Orlando making this trade is a low-key diss to the Pacers. Because what Orlando's basically saying is, hell, anybody can win the East. Look at what's happening. Like, why not us? Like, Paolo takes a leap. We just need some shooting. And I do like Bane's fit. And in a weird way, I don't think Desmond Bane is on the Magic if Jason Tatum doesn't tear his Achilles. Because I think that's what made the Eastern Conference feel like everything is available. So there's one take. On the Grizzlies, I totally agree. And I think the Grizzlies are fearful because Ja is so wildly popular there, and they're like, well, you don't want to trade him when his stock is low. And my only response to that would be is, unless there's real reason to believe it might go lower. Because Ja now has, and you hit on it, everyone when they talk about Ja, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people when they talk about Ja act as if, well, if he matures off the court, and maybe he has, I don't really see a lot of evidence of it, but maybe he has, then he's back to being a superstar. While leaving out the fact that he has not improved as a player over the last couple years, and he has become an incredibly high injury concern. So they're afraid to trade him now because his stock is low. Well, he's one more missed 30-game stretch away from the stock being even lower. So I proposed this kind of jokingly a few months ago, but I'll throw it out there again. I think it works salary-wise. It certainly works creativity-wise, which is the three kind of immature, kind of mercurial, southeastern point guards all trade for each other. LaMelo, Trey, Ja. We send Ja to Charlotte where there's less trouble to get in. We send LaMelo to Atlanta, and we send Trey to Memphis. And we're like, hey, all these guys are talented. All these guys are high draft picks. All these teams have kind of reached their ceiling, or in Charlotte never had a ceiling. What if we shake the snow globe there? So I would like to see that. What Memphis probably should do is maybe start over. I have one extra bonus take on this, which is actually a Lakers take, which is if I am Rob Pelinka, the first thing I'm doing in the morning is finding that leather jacket. The second thing I'm doing is saying, you know what? If Desmond Bane is worth 4 first-round picks, then is my path to getting the center we need actually a 3-team trade involving Alex Caruso? Because if Bane's worth 4 first-round picks, Caruso's worth about that. And is there a team that would trade picks for Caruso and a team that has a center that would rather have picks than Caruso? Because if Mikal Bridges is worth 5 and Bane is worth 4, Reeves is at least worth 3.5. So I wonder if that ends up being the lubrication to the Lakers getting the center they need for Luka.
Yeah, no, Austin Reeves has limitations to me. J-Mac loves him, but, he loves the undrafted guys more than anybody I've ever met.
I like him, but he became superfluous once you got Luka. Yes. Because he's not going to have the ball in his hands as much. And you don't have a bunch of other assets with which to get. Like, here is a real question I would have if I were the Lakers. If the draft is going on and Maluach, the center from Duke, is available at the 8th pick, the 9th pick, would somebody want Austin Reeves for that pick? Would we trade him straight up to get that center and pair him with Luka? I think there's real conversation there.
Okay, one of two choices. Do you want to talk KD, Caitlin Clark, or Shedeur Sanders? You pick it. Well, 3 choices.
Caitlin Clark, and then if we have time, KD. Caitlin Clark is this, Colin. You got a question? Or
go? No, go ahead. Okay. The floor is yours.
So here's the question I have. Because you and I keep kind of upping the ante on where we think her star is going, and I've decided that it can't be upped high enough. So here's the question I have, as crazy as this sounds. Once Steph and LeBron retire, will there be an active American athlete that's not a quarterback that's more famous than her?
No. There won't.
I think she will be more famous than every baseball player she might already be. In this country, every hockey player, all of the U.S. men's national team, and every football player that isn't really Patrick Mahomes and maybe Lamar, Josh. Like, there's only a few. And I think she's already more famous than every NBA player but KD, Steph, and LeBron. And I don't see any of those guys catching her. I think she is a supernova of fame and talent.
Yeah, I said this, and it's not anti-Beyonce to say that Taylor Swift's tour changed the economy. It is not anti-Angel Reese of the WNBA to acknowledge she's the Tiger 20 years ago on the tour. Like, the ratings disappear. It's nothing against the WNBA. She literally is changing the entire league economy. And I don't think that's a knock on the league.
But listen, I've got to protect us both here. It might be accidentally anti-Beyonce to compare her to Angel Reese, however. If Beyonce might not be Taylor Swift, but she's not. I mean,
Okay.
let's be careful with that. But I understand. You don't have to listen. So you don't have to blow out one's candle to make the other one.
That's right.
Grow brighter. But we are swimming in different pools when we're talking about Angel, who, by the way, shout out Angel, who got a triple-double and played really well the other night. And if she can at any point, just be a more competent around the rim, she will be a multi-year All-Star because she's a good defender and good rebounder. There's that, and Caitlin Clark, fresh off an injury, playing a team that some people were like, are they going to go undefeated? And dropping 32, 8, and 9 in a 40-minute basketball game and blowing them out. Like, the Fever could win the championship this year. They're not the favorites. Minnesota's better and the Fever are better, but they just crushed the Fever. I'm sorry, crushed the Liberty. I said it wrong. And Minnesota and New York are better than them, but they're right there, and she is only getting better. It's really spectacular to watch.
Yeah, Angel Reese actually a really good player, and that wasn't the comp with Beyonce, but what I'm saying is, as you said with Candles, is the WNBA, I just don't want to be marginalized. Like, I'm not criticizing the WNBA. She is the moment. She's not part of it. She's the moment, and that's okay. And I can name...
The Tiger comp is the right comp, and it removes a lot of the... I think there is understandably a real protectionist nature amongst the WNBA because, for a long time it had fought for survival. Obviously, because it's a women's league versus a men's league. There's also a lot of race and gender and sexuality stuff tied up in the WNBA and its fan base that I think is actually really productive for American sports. But it also creates an understandably almost protective fan base. Like, hold on a minute. And so because of that, there has been, understandable or not, a pushback to this supernova celebrity parachuting into the sport. And so, the WNBA demographics and who watches and who goes to the games are almost diametrically opposed to the PGA Tour 30 years ago. And then Tiger came in, and there was still a similar protectionism, but for very different reasons. But the reality is this person is going to change the face of your sport, the economics of your sport, and the accessibility of your sport to shows like this. And that ultimately helps everyone. And it really helps everyone if the players themselves don't read their mentions as much. Because I understand with popularity comes toxicity, and a lot of people that weren't previously invited to the party or maybe don't want to be at the party, they just want to crash it. But those people only live in your phone. They don't live in real life usually. And so ultimately it's great for the league, and she had a hell of a return from an injury. And
this all started with Mount Justmore. I mean, just think this great segment started with Mount Justmore.
It just shows you, kids, no matter how poorly something starts, it can finish brilliantly. I mean, it really does. See you, buddy.
See you, buddy. Nick Wright.